All right. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome to our podcast. To be, hold on, let's start this over. Welcome to our podcast. To be or not to be? That is the question. And we've all heard it before, but not like today's episode is our introduction to the world, who we are, and why we're here. In each episode, we will look at a new word or topic, and we will dive into what it means to us to be that or not to be. So today's topic is to be intentional or not to be. That is the question. And the thing is, only you get to choose. And either way, nobody cares as much as you do.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. So choose the one that speaks to you and go with it. We're here to cheer you on from our soul to yours. All right. You want to get this party started and introduce ourselves?
Yes.
Would you like to go first?
Why not?
Okay.
My name is Kathie Pabst. I am a resource coordinator for the IDD Resource Guide and a mom of two, a wife, a sunshine.
Freaking amazing human.
Ah, and one of my sons has special needs. So I have superpowers. That's what I like to think of it as.
You do. And I'm so excited to be doing this podcast with you.
Me
Well,
too.
my name is Sarah Dion Brooks-Shriver, and that's a long name, I know, but Sarah Dion Brooks is a name that I've been singing under for the name for 14 years now. Sarah Dion Brooks is my singer-songwriter name. And I'm also a growth development coach. I actually wrote it down because I felt like I needed to tell you everything that I am. I'm a writer, editor, and creator of my content. I am a wife. I am a mother. I have five of my own children and two stepdaughters. I am a creator of a brand new product line that I just decided to start called Inner Garden Herbal, which is a bunch of health products using organic oils. And in my spare time, I'm a head cross country coach and a head track coach for some amazing younger human beings that I get to work with each season. I am also the founder and director of the Inner Garden Center for the Mind, Body, and Soul, where we focus on healing from the inside out. And this is so we can become better humans and help heal the world one soul at a time. So if you want to add anything more to yours, because I feel like I just talked a lot.
How many things do I? I was kind of wondering, what do I say? But I think that was good. I think
Good.
it's good.
All right. Should we jump in and start talking about what
Yeah.
it means to be intentional?
Yeah.
All right. Did you come up with any questions? Because I have one to start.
Why don't you go first?
All right. Uh, what is our intention for this podcast?
I think, so it's so funny because it seems so simple to me, but I guess you have to say it. I think just to partly to spread joy and to help people accept themselves, to be more comfortable with themselves and to be happy and to understand coping skills and understand that the world is going to judge no matter what. So if you do what makes you happy,
Yes.
that's all that matters.
Yeah. And spreading that. And
Hmm.
ever since the first time I met you, you do spread that joy. And I just want to be around it. And it's infectious and contagious in this most beautiful way. So I'm like, we got to do this podcast together so we can just be our happy selves and help spread that, sprinkle that everywhere, right?
Yeah, and it's not to say that we don't have hard times. We do. We just have practiced, we've practiced different skills that help us become better to ourselves and
Yeah.
nicer to ourselves and happier people.
Yes. Yes. And we might have moments that we talk about on this show where we're struggling with
Mhm.
something and we can process it together, right? I mean, I am a growth development coach and I do like to talk about a lot of things and I like to process life. I mean, I'm not some perfect human being here. I am going through it too. And sometimes we're sitting in that fire and we got to process ourselves. And
And
that's
I like to ask a lot of questions.
which is awesome.
I like to ask a lot of questions.
Well,
I'm a
good.
curious person.
We should be curious. Not curious. We should be curious.
Uh-huh.
I think that makes life better when we're asking questions because the more we ask, the more we learn, right? And if we're not asking questions, then we just think we know everything and we don't. The more we ask questions, the more we learn we don't know everything. And it's really a beautiful thing to be able to learn and to be open to learning.
It- It's so true. I think when I was younger, I used to be afraid of asking questions, so I would be more quiet and after a while, I just realized, you know what? I want to know. And sometimes, according to my husband, I ask too many questions. He's like, "Are you investigating? You reporter?" But I want to know the inners of it so I can understand the thought process.
Yeah,
And it helps me. So sometimes I may ask a little too many questions, but that's just me trying to figure it all out and understand it. I like to understand what other people are thinking and where they're coming from.
me too. Me too. And it also helps me know that we're not alone in this journey of ours. And sometimes it can feel really alone because we get trapped within our own thoughts and our heads. But when we ask questions and we can just sit and listen to other people, we're like, oh, okay, they're going through something too, and just to be able to encourage each other and help each other through the journey because it can feel lonely. And I really, really love connecting with people for that very reason of just to let them know they're not alone and we are learning as we go. We really are.
I think that's what I've learned so much with talking with you is that what I am today is okay, but I can also grow, and the future me is going to be thankful for this me that's been working on these different things.
Yeah,
And then little by little, the happiness meter just
keeps
it just keeps rising. And then I saw this is so funny. So I went to my pediatrician, not PC the other day, my primary care doctor. And I was like, I know a few years ago I was down in the dumps. It was COVID. I was at home with my son all the time, doing nothing but taking care of him and having him live his best life. But now, like, I don't even know that person. Like, I know that person. I've seen how much I've grown and back to the real me.
yeah.
But I go, you know what? Sometimes, could I be too happy? Like, could it be annoying people?
I I would rather because you're real. You're not like that toxic positivity. You're not just taking, and this is something I've had to be really mindful of, and that's why I don't even like really the words positive and negative, right? I think those can actually
Mm,
give you a little bit of a because we create meaning with the words we say, right? So if
yeah.
you're sitting there always just making Pollyanna positive at every single thing, it might get annoying, but at the same time, if you're able to just genuinely be like, I'm a happy person because I'm not letting myself focus on those thoughts, because that's what it is, right? We're focusing on those thoughts. And you've already recognized in your thought, you've been there. You've been in
Hmm.
other places, right? I've been there. I've been in a place where I was depressed for years off and on. And I know what it feels like to focus on those words that I'm telling myself. And so when I'm intentionally turning those words around and realizing, oh, this feels better. I mean, that, right? You were saying it's a superpower. And finding joy, I think that a lot of people are searching for it. And I'm finding it in the words I think. Like when I focus on gratitude, I find joy. When I'm focusing on the things that I'm mad about, I'm not finding joy. It's not there. Wow.
It's almost like it can be contagious both ways. If
Absolutely.
you focus on the negative, and I noticed, and remember I told you this before, my husband would say, "Why are you feeding that?
Hmm.
Why don't you feed the positive?"
Yes.
And I could get in a spiral, and then I would catch myself, and I'd go, "Oh, because this went wrong." Then you're focusing on this, and you're focusing on this, and this. Then you're focusing on everything that went wrong.
Yeah.
But how about next time you focus on something that went wrong, you have to focus on something good, or
Yeah.
you have to say something positive.
Yes. I
And
started
it helped.
Yes, I started doing that probably 8 or 9 months ago because I did this activity where I was writing down all of these emotions that I think on a daily, weekly basis for this conference I was going to. And I was like, I don't feel peace and joy. And those are two things I really want to feel. So why am I not feeling those things? And it bothered me. And I'm like, wow, I'm feeling frustrated and annoyed. Interesting. So I actually started to really focus on the words I was thinking. And when I found myself complaining, I would make a rule and like stop. And I would tell myself to stop. And I'd have to say two things I was grateful for. And so what I found is one, I started finding a lot more than just two things I was grateful for. It became lighter. It lifted the energy with the people I was talking about, and it almost became contagious to them too. They're like, okay, I have to leave this conversation with two things I'm grateful for. And then I would just start going down a list of all these things I was grateful for. And I started looking around me and finding more things I was grateful. And I found joy, and I found joy in the gratitude. And I was like, okay, this is it. If I'm just complaining all the time, I'm not finding joy because all I'm doing is looking at that side of it, right? So
It's so funny because that's being intentional.
it
You're
is.
intentionally looking for joy, and then after a while, it just comes so easy.
Yeah.
And then it just falls in your lap after that. It just totally falls in your lap.
Well, and also, I met a woman at I don't know if I need to go into the story. I'm a sharer. That's what my husband calls me. I'm a sharer and I share a lot. So I met a flight attendant, a flight attendant. Can you hear me okay, by the way? Is my
Hmm.
loud and clear? Loud and clear. A flight attendant at Seattle when we had a delay and we're all sitting there and we're all chatting as we're sitting there and we were talking to the flight attendant and I was like, you have to deal with delays a lot. She's like, all the time. I've just realized it's just a lot easier to not care for someone. And I was like, yeah, so that's another part of it, right? Not care so much. So one of the things that I've noticed is I don't know, you can tell, but my glasses are crooked. And instead of freaking out about it, I'm just going to laugh about it because I have dropped them on the floor and I've actually lost two separate glasses.
I didn't
Because,
even notice that they were.
well, I've just pointed it out because I am conscious of it, but I'm going to laugh about it because I have four sets of glasses. One I dropped at a cross country meet, didn't realize it because I can see so much better looking at distance, but when it's up close, my eyes are just reminding me that I'm getting wiser in my age, and so my eyes aren't as strong as they were. So I'll like tuck it in my shirt, and then I'm like sitting up and tearing down, and then I'm like, oh God, where are my glasses at? So this has happened multiple times, and I've lost my favorite pair of glasses recently. So it's either this one or it's this one that the prescription's too strong, and then everything's blurry when I take them off. So I've chosen my crooked ones. So instead of worrying about it and stressing out about the fact that I have crooked glasses on, which I have had videos before and I didn't realize until afterwards, but now I'm like, own
Own
it.
it.
Be
Own it.
intentional.
Be
Um,
intentional and own it. It was funny.
okay,
I didn't
so
notice that they were crooked.
you know, it's one of my disclaimers. I like to point out the flaws before, so that I can say, hey, I know, I already know, I already know. My daughter calls it flossom. I think she saw that on a movie.
Awesome.
Instead of flaws, it's blossom. So,
Oh, I love that.
me too. Yeah.
Flossom.
Or flossom.
So instead of just labeling it a flaw, like my stretch marks are flossom.
That's right, they are. Because that meant you've had babies in your body, so they are.
That's right.
They're not a flaw. It's part of who you are. It's your roadmap, right?
You know, it is funny too, because I think of them that way. You know what I mean? I gave life to this, and I love those babies, even though they're grown ass men, but you know what I mean?
They'll always be our babies. And I do
Yeah.
actually, I've been feeling a little bit of I don't know if this is perimenopausal. I mean, I'm joking around with my husband that it is because now I'm being told as I'm learning about it, right? Because I'm almost 47 years old and I'm going through supposedly 10 plus years of perimenopausal stuff. So, I don't feel overly emotional and I am an emotional empath. I am. So I will, tear up and all the time. But I've been more emotional in the last few days. And we were setting up the Christmas tree and I seriously sat on the ground and I just started to cry because my youngest is 17. I have five children and I have been spending Christmas with at least two of my children.
Yeah.
The oldest three live in Florida with their dad, so I haven't spent Christmas with them for a while. But my daughter's 26, so for 27 Christmases, I've had children around me. And next year, I don't know if any of my children will be there. And my daughter, my 20-year-old daughter, is in another country right now, and I think I'm just feeling this grief of like I miss them, and I don't get
It's
them back.
almost
I don't get them back. They're adults now, and they're still
right.
babies, but they'll never be young anymore. And that magic of Christmas. What does that mean? So my whole point was when I was sitting there on the floor crying and slobby mess over here, um, I started to think about what my intention for this Christmas is and what my
Mm.
intention for the holidays will be, as it might not be with all of my children around me or my family around me. Like, what is my intention? Maybe it's service. Maybe my husband and I go out and do something in the Christmas holiday season that's service where I feel like I'm giving again. Um, so again, fill the void with love and service. I don't know. I'm not sure yet. I haven't figured that out yet.
It's like you're in first phase of empty nest.
Yeah,
Like you're it's like your body's prepping, you know?
I didn't
You're
think it
like,
was going to bother me that much though, because I mean, I think the
mhm.
hardest one was when my oldest decided to move out.
Oh yeah, that first one.
Oh yeah. Well, she just decided to move with her dad, and she was 18, and she still was a senior in high school, and she decided to move. And that was, I mean, I was newly married, to my second husband. That was
Mhm.
harder for me. And I work with middle school kids all the time, so like all year long, I'm running with kids and I'm running these programs, and so I feel like that keeps me, focused on kids. But my own, when I'm home alone, yeah, I think that's that first phase, and I think I might have bursts of tears every once in a while. I didn't think I was going to, but I'm
Mhm.
realizing now that my youngest is a senior, I'm like, yeah, this is happening.
It's funny. It's funny that you say that because I always had this regret that I didn't have more kids. And because of that reason. Because and I couldn't because well, I could have, but Hunter, you know, are we saying names? I'm cool with saying names.
I'm cool saying names. Are your kids cool
Okay.
saying names?
Yeah. I think so.
Okay.
So,
I think
Hunter,
we do it appropriately. So if it's a conversation about somebody difficult in our life, we can change the name
right.
for protection purposes, and you know,
This isn't anything about like anything you'll be embarrassed about. But when Hunter took off, or not, he turned 18 and he was going to sound engineer school. And so we got him an apartment in Tempe, which is only like 30 minutes away.
yeah,
But the fact that he wasn't living in the house and I was like an emotional wreck, like weeks leading up. My husband was tough. And that morning that we were to move him to the apartment, my husband walked out there and saw Hunter's packed boxes and bags in the living room and came in the bedroom and just started bawling and
no,
just it just hit him
yeah,
like and that's why I say yes, that first one you know is but I've only had Hunter and then Hayden, which Hayden is my forever baby, so he's not going anywhere. But I always kind of thought, I wish I would have had more, and plus I like kids, I like babies, and but we didn't want to do that to Hunter or Hayden. We wanted to give spoil them both,
mm,
because we knew Hayden was going to need a lot of attention, and we didn't want Hunter to feel like, you know, he's being left behind, or we didn't know the possibilities of having more
right,
with the same disorder that Hayden has.
right.
We didn't find out till like 12 years later that it was a spoof. But it is, I always say, oh, it'd be so great if you could live on your own, Hayden, and do your own thing. And now I'm thinking, who are you kidding? You would not like, you would not.
I think sometimes we try to convince ourselves of things because it makes us feel stronger in the moment. Like I really have been saying, oh, it's not going to hit me that hard. I work with middle school kids. I'm not even going to, my son is busy. I'm busy, so busy. I keep myself busy, and I do. And I love being busy and all of the things I do because I feel like everything I do is intentional. I do. I want to spread healing and love into this world. I want to become better humans and plant seeds of that everywhere. And we're still going through our own stuff. We've got our own stuff. And I think just having grace with ourselves, right? When we go through it and say, hey, it's okay to sit by the Christmas tree.
And cry.
It is. It's okay. Yeah.
What do you do? Like, so this is the question I had for you. When you're tired and you've done all this work and you're tired, and then you find yourself almost going back to the little negativity the Negasaurus that we call, the Negasaurus monster starts coming and trying to creep into you. And then I tell myself like, shut up. But um it's almost like I'd like something else to help fix it. Like, okay, get more rest or, other ways, go for a walk.
Yeah.
What are things that you suggest?
That's a very good question, and I think it's going to depend on you. I've
Mm,
really been trusting a lot more on my intuition and guidance in that sense, because for a long time, like when I was married to my first husband, when I was really stressed, those negasaurus thoughts, the negative, it was a lot. I mean, I was in and out of depression a lot, and again, it was those words I was speaking, and so my coping was sugar, and I would binge it, I would hide it, I'd buy it. I mean, the very first time I realized I had an issue was when we had cut out sugar as a family. Okay. So we weren't
hmm
eating sugar and we had little kids and we were trying to eat healthier, but I didn't feel in control in my life. Um,
mm,
I didn't. And I didn't feel like I had a lot of choice. And I was really stressed and I wasn't living up to my potential. And I was blaming my husband for a lot. And he did have anger issues and, a lot of that stuff. How deep we want to get into that kind of stuff. But I remember going into the gas station. I think we lived in Missouri at the time to pay for the gas, and he was in the car with the kids. And I bought a candy bar and I stuck it in my purse and went to the bathroom and I shoved it in my face super fast. And I looked
hmm
down and I was like, what the frick am I doing? Like, I have a problem. Like, I have an addiction to sugar, but I don't even think it's the addiction to sugar. I think it's that need to control. And I'm wondering so much of the time if coping comes to that, of like we feel out of control in our life and we're out of control. So what do we do? What do we turn to cope with? Right. So years have gone by. My first year as a head coach was really stressful for track. We had a huge team,
hmm
9, 10 coaches that I coach with. I'm in a leadership position, but I have never done before. And I remember bringing that stress home every single night. And I was really trying to show up as my best self. But I remember having this attitude of, okay, we might drop a few words just to let you know, listeners. We might drop.
Just so you know, we curse.
When it's appropriate. So, okay. Sometimes it just flows.
We
But
take the power of the word.
yes, because words have
Our own,
energy, right?
right?
So that first season, I came home and every night I'd be like, I just need to chill the fuck out. And that's what I would say. I was CTFO. I need to chill the F out drink. And my husband's looking at me like, you don't really drink. I'm like, but I need one. And I needed something to cope and I didn't want to dive into sugar. But I didn't
hmm
really drink. Even if I had a cider or something, I would drink like 2 sips and pour it out. Like I don't want to become addicted to anything, but I just felt the need to chill out and I didn't know how. So a whole year goes by. I set another intention. I'm like, instead of that, I'm going to say every time I feel that way, I'm going to take a big, deep breath. I'm going to drink water and I'm going to go and do some sort of visualization or meditation to help myself be balanced and peaceful. And that is like that's my dream. But did I? No, I binged on candy. I binged on those gummy nerds because they're so good. And I'd be like, and guess what?
They're
That
pretty
doesn't
good.
help. That doesn't help though. It doesn't. I actually found myself way more moody. And I don't know if that's the food coloring or the sugar or whatever it was. But
Or guilt
it,
because you ate it,
yeah, it could be that too. But
giving yourself a guilt trip.
yeah, it wasn't helping me get trim either. So there's that. Dang it. So I don't know. I've had definitely different coping. The reality is, I know I am my best self when I have those moments and I just allow myself to feel it. If I drink a big glass of water, that really helps. And set intentions for what I want to deal with that. Do I need to just, I like to call it check out or check in, right? Like, do I need to just
hmm
go watch Ted Lasso or watch some show that's going to lift me?
Oh,
Or do I need to
yes.
go read a book? Or do
Yeah.
I need to just go take a nap? Or do I need to go on a run or go on a walk or take my shoes off and go outside? Like I said, when I'm saying intentional, I'm setting and asking my higher self, I'm asking myself, what do I need in this moment? And I'm not talking about a big glass of wine. Like I don't want a coping mechanism. I don't want a crutch. I want to feel what I'm going through, but I also don't want to spiral. And sometimes when I'm feeling it, I start to spiral and I don't want to spiral. So I really try to separate myself. If I feel like I'm going to like snap, which some might, like, right, we're getting into that negative mind frame. Um, I will walk away and I will be by myself for a while. And sometimes I'll listen to guided meditation and just breathe it out or scream or do my dance to party, right? Da, 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 da.
Mhm. Just like, so what you're saying is, depending on the situation, you have different fixes.
Yeah.
And I think, like with me, I was looking at the same old fix, even though I have different tools, but I wasn't going in my toolbox
Yeah.
and using the different one. And when you were talking just now, I realized, um, so Diggity, my dog dying,
Mm,
and then getting a new puppy, and then being tired, and then boom, 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 like whirlwind, and then all of that. Like uh, maybe I didn't fully mourn Diggity passing
mm.
because I instantly went, I need a puppy. I need a puppy. I needed a puppy. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, well, maybe I should have taken some time, but this puppy's cute, so I ain't giving him back. But I'll just take the time to meditate and mourn Diggity while this puppy's here.
And is that a wrong answer, right? I mean, how long do
Right.
you mourn for? As long as it's needed, and you can still mourn and still love a new puppy at the same time, it's
Right?
and you can have moments where you cry and you can have moments where you laugh. It's okay.
I almost forgot. And but I like that you said, you go with the moment. Sometimes it's a run, sometimes meditation, sometimes I go for a walk. Sometimes, it could be something. Sometimes I just like to put my headphones on and close my eyes and just listen to music, like
Yes.
really loud. Oh, and one thing I absolutely love that I get on the elliptical and I turn on the music really loud and I am in the zone. Like I might be a drummer in the band. I might be, I'm never a singer because I can't sing, but playing an instrument because that's what I do, you know. And and then it's like the first 10 minutes I'm going and I'm like, oh, okay. But once I hit that 20-minute mark, I can go for 2 hours.
Isn't that
And
amazing?
it's amazing.
Like you
And
got over that slump. Yeah.
yeah, and I get off and I get off the elliptical and I feel like I'm gonna clean the house, I'm gonna wash the car, I'm gonna pull weeds.
Yes. Wow. My husband would like me to get more motivated like that because I'm so focused that I'm not always like, oh, maybe I'll help him outside to pull weeds. Like I don't usually think that way. I'm like, oh, what else can I get done with my creativity? And I pull
Hmm.
out something else. So actually that leads me to the next question I have because it's kind of along those same lines, but when so setting intentions, right? Setting those intentions every day. When you oh, where's my question? Did I say this? Oh my gosh. Okay. When someone doesn't support your intentions, right? When you
Oh
are
man.
sitting there going, okay, this is the intention I have, and you're like living at a high vibration, and maybe they're like, that's too much. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with when you're feeling like your balloon is inflating okay, I just got it back now. I want to go do everything. And somebody comes in and you just feel like this emotional pin prick to the bubble, right? Of just like, I'm gonna deflate you because you're too big for me and I don't like that. I mean, how do you deal with negative Nellies or whatever you want to call them, right? Like wah, wah,
Oh.
Karens, whatever the names are, Chad. I don't know. I don't know. There's so many terms nowadays when people say it, I'm like,
I
what?
love Karens. We could call them Karens.
So how do you deal with that? And how do you, I mean, I know it goes hand in hand with what we were just talking about of like lifting ourselves up, but especially if there's someone around who you were hoping for their support and you're not getting it. Like, how do you deal with that?
Oh, and first, I can feel it. I feel it. I mean, it is so when and this is probably brings back to when I went to my doctor and I said, like I was talking with someone and their life isn't going so great and they're having these obstacles, right? And their life's going great, but they just have these obstacles, right? And I am constantly going, yeah, but you can do this and look at the brighter side. And I could sense that they were maybe just a little bit annoyed. And you know what I learned? I just have to be me. I just have to be me. And I have this natural instinct to want to help them.
Yeah.
Or if, let's say their negativity is like they don't have any obstacles, but they're just not, they can't handle my upness.
Right.
I just have to be me and I just scooch, scooch. It's almost like if you're in a crowded room at a party and you're talking to someone and the vibe isn't working, well, I'm just going to scoot my way over to somebody else. I'm just going
You're
to.
protecting your boundaries, right? You're protecting your peace by not letting them ruin it, right? Like, don't let them.
Yeah, because I've noticed in the past, and this has been years ago, if I specifically try to get on their level, then that just makes everything just come down. And I can't do it. I
No,
can't do it, and
no.
they'll just, and sometimes I've noticed with people like that, it's not just that one thing or that one thing they're squashing or anything. Like they always find something to squash, and that's the way they live their life. And I can't live, that doesn't work for me and my feel good, you know?
And
So
this
I
is
scooch.
I would love to have you scooch. I love that word, and I love like imagining you. Just, like, I'm gonna go over to the peace
I
out,
do.
man. Peace be with you, and that's what I want to say. May you be well. May you have peace. Let me go over here.
And it's still, and my husband laughs because he knows when I do it,
Yeah.
he goes, I love your exits. He goes, you got people just always love you. You're never offensive or anything like this, And he goes, you just kind of exit all nicely. And he goes, you make them wanting more. I go, I know, that's my curse, you know?
Well, it's funny because I was just thinking because being an empath my entire life, right? For I don't know how many of our listeners know what empaths would be considered. I know that's a word that is out there a lot right now, but I feel deeply, okay? And I know everyone has
Hmm.
levels of it, but I feel very deeply for other people. And if there is someone who has that like that cloud of negativity around them or whatever,
Hmm.
I tend to immediately start thinking, what did I do? Is it my fault? Did I do something? And I have really learned to um, set up a shield around me to protect my peace and energy from that. So when they're throwing those negative thoughts, I can remind myself this really has nothing to do with me. Even if they don't like what I'm
Hmm.
doing, it really doesn't have anything to do with me. It has to do with their own insecurities and their pain. And I can love them where they're at, but it doesn't mean I have to take on their energy, right? Or take on their jacket. I've heard people say that, or their sweater, and whatever it
I
is. We
love
don't
that.
have to take on their energy. We can love them where they're at, and we can scooch, and we don't need to take it on, right? We just don't. And I think I'm really driven right now and I'm really motivated, and that happened to me recently. And I remember my way of dealing with it was listening to this song on repeat really, really, really loud over and over and over and over. And I was just like, screaming it. And it just made me feel so much better because I just had to remember, like what we say in the beginning, right? Nobody cares about your choice as much as you do. So pick your
Hmm.
choice and do it. And I think that that is really a beautiful intention to live with, and understanding that nobody cares, and nor should they, nor nobody
Hmm.
really should care about what is really important to us as much as we should.
Hmm.
We should really take pride in pouring into it.
Well, because they're putting their intentions on you or us or on the other person. Um, like you said, nobody knows me more than me, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody else is making assumptions or the way that I'm supposed to be or not, or giving me the side eye, a lot of times you get those like you're not really that happy.
Right.
What's going on with you? And you can see the side eye. They don't think they're emitting the side eye, but the side eye for like somebody like us, it like screams,
Right. Right.
and I can feel it.
Yeah.
But that's their assumptions, and I can't go with their assumptions because they don't know all of me. I'm the only one who knows all of me
Yeah.
you know? And then, if you think about it, the only people that know most of all you is your immediate family, but the true person who's in here
Yeah.
and feel everything is me. So I have to lead this bus.
Right.
I have to lead
Gotta
this
be driving.
bus.
Yep. You're the bus driver.
I'm the bus driver. Oh, that remind the energy bus. Did you ever read that?
No.
Oh, I am so the bus driver. And I'm sorry, her name is Joy. And you have to read the energy bus, and her name is Joy. And She has these people on the bus, and like every once in a while, a Negasaurus will come on. She doesn't call them Negasaurus, that's just my word. A Negasaurus will come on, and she transforms this Negasaurus to see the positive side of things. And then, and when he first gets on that bus, he is sitting there thinking, these people are fake. He's side-eyeing everybody on the bus. Like, you cannot be that happy. There's something wrong with you. And he, first of all, he doesn't want to even get back on the bus, but his car's broken down. And so he has to, his car's in the shop. But I'm not going to say all of the bus, but, the energy bus, but it so reminds me of that. And I read that book and I took that aspect to heart to go, this is my bus. And I'm going to look, if you want to be on the bus, you can come on. Everybody can come on this bus, but you're going to act like this. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And but you can have hard times and we'll work through it,
yeah.
but
This is my.
don't side eye and be a Negasaurus constantly or all the
Oh,
time.
oh my gosh, I like that so much. And it
Hmm.
kind of goes hand in hand with Elizabeth Gilbert in her book Big Magic. If you've never read that, it's such a great book. It's all about creativity, right? And really like allowing your intuition to guide you. But she has a chapter in there. She talks about fear, and she uses this as fear is like a backseat driver, and you're driving, and fear's over there to protect you. Go, no, don't turn this way, don't do it this way, and right. Think about fear as that like little devil on the shoulder or whatever, and like your positivity's over here and your negative sources over here, whatever. And she's like, at some point, you got to just simply turn around and say, "Hey, I see you." And this is kind of my thought process.
Hmm.
I see you. You're trying to protect me. I get it. Actually, I appreciate the fact that you're being here because you're trying to save my life. I get it, but you're gonna need to zip it so I can drive. Like I got the wheel here, and so I'm even thinking of like this is my bus. Zip it. Sit in the back. Play the quiet game, guys. If you're playing with your kids, let's play the.
Right. And you know what happened little by little? That Negasaurus being around all these positive people, little by little, became a positive saurus. I've never said that word in my life, but I just made it up. Pososaurus. Pososaurus.
Did you just say the plesiosaurus? Did
But a what?
you just say the pleasure source?
No, not. Oh, that's a different one.
Different
That's
topic.
another episode. Pososaurus. We'll get to pleasure stories.
I can't really compose because I don't even know. Like I'm laughing so hard, I can't even hear what you're saying. Okay, say it again. I'll listen this time, really fully listen with intention.
I can't even say it. Ooh, sorry. Pososaurus, like
The pause.
positive, but a pososaurus.
Yes, I like
Po-
that. I like that one too.
We can get into pleasuresaurus later.
Later,
That's gonna be
later.
a fun episode. Woo! Oh,
Okay. Intentional. Back to the podcast.
yeah.
So yes, I love spreading that light. I love the idea of just being you. I love that. And don't let anyone rain on our parade, right? Just don't. And I think I don't know if I showed this to you. It was really awesome. There's an Instagram post going around, and I almost want to pull it up, but I don't know if it would do its justice. But it says when anyone's trying to mess with your light in 2025, and it's got like the Statue of Liberty with this beautiful torch, and she just starts beating people away. And that has been like my mantra in my brain of like, I mean, I'm not going to beat them away, but I'm going to send love to them and scooch, right? Like scooch on.
You showed me that, and I loved it too. And then as soon as she's done whipping these people out of her way, she just goes back to shining her light.
She does shine on.
She's like,
Actually, I wrote a song a few years ago called Shine On Anyway, and I will tell you the whole story
ooh.
very quickly. Story, so we can get to the next intentional question. But this is part of what we're talking about. So I had just gotten done with an email from somebody I love deeply, and being judged by people that we love is hard, right? It's like,
Hmm.
gosh, especially people that you've been around for years. And I had felt
Hmm.
judged, and I was really, I was hurting. I was hurting, and I sat down and I was going to meditate, and I was like, okay, how do I respond to this? How do I deal with this? Because I just feel unseen by someone I love.
Hmm.
And
Uh-huh.
I remember this message that popped into my head, and I said, "Shine on anyway, motherfucker." That's what it said. I swear it said. But I left the last part out of the words of the song because I didn't want to offend anyone when I sang, and I'm trying to keep it classy, right? Like I really want to keep it classy. However, I do believe that I am a classy lady with a twist of lime, and
Thank you.
it's got a little bit of sour and salt to it too. So
That's right.
like a classy drink, right?
Yeah, right?
Steak shaken and stirred. But anyway, I wrote a song all about shining on anyway. We There will be those who don't like our light and they will try to dim us and they'll try to dim you. It's okay, but we're just going to shine on anyway because we came here. We didn't, and thinking about that, can you imagine if we just stopped living who we were because it bothered other people?
Uh-huh.
Right. We've got to set our intention, right? Set the intention to show up as who we are, what we came here for. Live that because in the end, I think people will really gravitate towards that. And those who don't want to, they can get on the other bus. Okay. They don't need to be on our tour bus. They can be on that the dark bus over there.
Right?
They can choose
And
this.
it's so funny how if think about all the great things that the world would have missed out on if everyone was too afraid or held themselves back from sharing their gift, whether it be a book or a
Oh my
song
gosh. How would we
or,
continue to grow and evolve as human beings? Yeah,
right. If it think about that, if nobody shared because of out of fear,
yeah,
how many things would you have missed out if, like, think about your office
right,
and the books you have.
right,
What if all of those authors didn't share?
right. We'd be missing pieces, right?
Or our favorite songs,
Oh,
because you and I are very musical.
yeah.
So, I mean, we love music, all kinds of genres. And imagine if Tchaikovsky never wrote, Mozart never wrote.
Yeah.
Imagine,
I have thought about that a lot because again, I've been so artistic in my life, not the painting and drawing kind. That is not my gift in any way, but
Mhm.
right, I write music.
Music.
I wrote a book. I still haven't finished it because sometimes when I sit down to edit, I'm like, who cares? Who cares what I have to write? But I'll tell you the couple different people, or I don't even remember all the people, but I've heard it multiple times that have said, yes, maybe it's been said before, but not by you. That
Hmm.
really helped me. I'm like, okay, you're right. I have my own things to bring to the table. And the other
Hmm.
one was Wayne Dyer when he said, don't die with the music still inside.
Oh,
Think about that all the time because you're right. There are books that I can pull off of here. I haven't read all of them, to be honest. Like I love buying books when I feel guided to buy them, but I have not read all these books yet. But I know I will at some point because I know they're here waiting for me when I'm ready. And
wow.
when I think about those authors that have touched my life so much, like Glennon Doyle and Elizabeth Gilbert, those are two authors, and Brene Brown, I love them. Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay, like there's authors that have touched me so deeply and have helped me remember who I am. And so when I look at their books, I'm like, if they hadn't, right? I have this quote here that says, it's underneath my stuff. It says, one day my story will become someone else's survival guide. And
Oh,
I thought, bring it. Just step into
yeah.
who we are. And here's the thing. I think this is so much of why we're here as humans, right? To learn to overcome.
Hmm.
The best movies and the best books, there's always the hero. We are our own hero of our story, and we have to care. And as we overcome, we become stronger, right? Like I will say this probably in every episode or in every video I ever make, hurt people, hurt people. So as we heal, we get the opportunity to
Hmm.
help other people heal, right? Like I love imagining my soul holding your soul's hand as we walk through this wheel. Let's get back up. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. And as we learn, people write this stuff down and they can help us when we're in our darkest hours, right? And I'm hoping part of our intention for this podcast is that somebody will be flipping on YouTube until this is, put on the channels and they listen to it and they just feel less alone. And they feel like, okay, there's other people out here who are learning
Hmm.
to overcome and they have joy in their life. And it's not always joyful, but we do have joy in our life. And I think that I just want to help that. I want to have that connection.
Mm.
Right? That is probably my biggest intention for all that I do is just to really deeply connect with the souls of other people and help them know they're not alone and help them know that their truth and the knowledge that they're seeking is within them. So let's do this, man. Let's do it. Shine on, you know?
It's so funny. Like the other day when you mentioned their people's souls, and I started looking at people differently. I think just um humans, we just look at the shell. We just
Yeah.
see shells and we
Uh,
see their body and everything like that. Well, when you said that, I started thinking about looking at somebody intentionally thinking of their soul and not the outside. And it changes things, changes perspective so much
yeah.
that I was pretty, I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty proud of myself because I felt like I had just hit another notch
Yeah.
and became a better person at the same time, like and I felt more like I was what is the word I'm looking for? I felt like I was a more compassionate person
Yeah.
because I was willing to understand other souls,
Hmm.
and not just the shell that they're trying to portray.
Yeah. Willing to go even deeper on the shell that they're trying to portray. Sometimes they don't even know. It's based on so many layers of and filters and filters and filters of perception based on the pain that they've been through, right? Like the lens that you look through is you know, I I was laying there in bed one night thinking about perceptions because perception's one of those things I can talk about a lot. And I was thinking about what we are as spiritual beings. Like I like to imagine ourselves as spiritual beings that are dropped down into these physical bodies and compressed into physical form, right? But
Hmm.
spiritual beings are just love and light and energy. That's what I like to think of them as. And that from that perception of love and light, we just love one another. We just love one another. We understand. We have compassion and understanding and forgiveness all the time because we understand. But the thing is, we get dropped into these human bodies, and the first time something happens to us, a layer of like dirt gets on your lens, and then another layer of pain,
Ooh.
and a layer of anger, and a layer of betrayal, and so you have all of these like, oh, I don't trust that person. So you have all these layers, and so your spiritual being of love and light is now seeing through these really, really clouded lenses, and it's harder for us to see. Like my perception as Sarah versus my higher self is a little different because I'm basing it on everything that I've ever been through.
All
So
your experiences.
yeah, so I really work on learning how to cleanse that lens of perception. I've done some meditations on it, and I just did a video on it recently on my brand new YouTube channel that I'm doing for a class right now. And just really understanding that if we could see one another as our higher selves through the eyes of love, right? My gosh.
You are always doing this to me. Like, I, every week. That is so crazy. I never, um, maybe it's the way you explained it. Um, but when you said, you get a layer of dirt on your lens and then all these different experiences put a different layer of dirt and it gets muffled, you know? It's it is so crazy. And all these different experiences, whether it be good or bad,
Right.
you know, and you try to cleanse it. Wow, that was crazy. It also made me think of, I told you this before, when my mom died, I was 20. I just turned 20 or 21. Isn't that crazy? I don't even know exactly how old I was because it was such a fog.
Yeah.
But I remember I was super, naturally super upset and everything like that. But I remember going to the funeral home to give them her clothes and the outfit she was to wear. And they put it on her, and then they wanted me to look and make sure, that she looked the way I wanted her to look. And I remember seeing her, and it felt so good to see her because she wasn't there. She wasn't there. It was so crazy. It was a shell. And it was the shell that my mom used. But I mean, and this is a 21-year-old. I don't know that much. Like life is going 100 miles an hour at that time. You know what I mean? I'm in
We can
school. I
say
got
that
all
now
this
because
going.
we didn't know very much back then, but when we were 21, we probably thought we knew everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought I knew everything. But it was so funny. I was looking at her and I remember feeling so at peace and so good that I really knew she wasn't there anymore. And it's so funny. It's like, I don't know where she was, but I knew she wasn't in that body and it wasn't, and she wasn't done.
Yeah,
I felt that.
yeah,
And then so I remember like her funeral and I mourned, but it catapulted me, I think, to where I am today, feeling joy and appreciating people while they're here
yeah.
and loving them and let them know that you love them because we don't know, we don't when we'll see them again or what may happen. So I remember thinking, always using my mom's death was a lesson that I needed, and it changed me to appreciate people so much more,
Mhm.
and I intentionally did that after that. I intentionally like joy around people and laughter and love.
What a switch, right? I
Uh-huh.
love it. I love it when we look back, we can realize, no, we really did set a new intention and it changed our life. Like,
Yeah.
I live near an airport. I don't know if you can hear it. Sorry. Sorry, listeners.
Mm-mm.
I just heard this like, like what is that noise?
Oh yeah.
Anyway, it was really important. I've heard that when you hear loud noises, it's because something we were about to say was really important. Um,
No
we
way.
when we do when we do set intentions, it's different than just goals. It's like, okay, I see a greater vision for what I want in life, and I want to do that. I want to do that. So I'm going to
Mhm.
show up better than I did before. And
Mm.
yes, will we still fall down? Yeah. But we can see
Mhm.
those intentions, like New Year's resolutions, right? We're right at the end of the year, 2024. We're coming
Oh
close,
yeah.
weeks away. Isn't that crazy? We're almost
Speaking of intentions, you're right.
right. Well, and I don't, and I'm going to share this real quick because I just thought of it, but it's on my floor. That's why I waited. Anyway, every year I don't set New Year's resolutions anymore. Because
Hmm.
how often do we set them and then we just kind of like, a month in, like last year, one New Year's resolutions was I got this one app and I was doing this wall Pilates every day and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so strong. And then like February came and I was like, nah. So what is my intention, right? But anyway, and I have done this instead. It's called the Year Ahead, and it is on yearcompass.com. It's free. It's completely free. This wonderful, amazing group from I don't even remember what country they do it in. Doesn't matter. Budapest, made with love by an international team in Budapest, Hungary. It's called yearcompass.com, and I've been doing it for probably 7 or 8 years now. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. And I don't know if we want to talk about it this episode, or we can talk about it another one as we get closer to the new year. But it is one way of looking back on the past year and of looking at all the things you've learned, the memories you've taken, the challenges you had, all of this beautiful stuff, and then closing it out. One of my favorites is you get to name it. If your last year, 2024, was being made into a book or a movie, what would you call it? And it's always fun. Like last year, I think mine was like, really, here we go again, right? Here we go again, Sarah. But then you get to look at the next year and you're setting your intentional goals. You're not like, what do you want to show up as? How do you want to um, like what do you want to feel? What feeling do you want to feel? Like mine this last year was joy. I wanted to feel more joy and I got to meet you. So there's like, okay, let's set those intentions, and your vibe attracts your tribe, right? Like you pour that into
Hmm.
if you don't like feeling sad and mopey, set an intention to be feeling happier. Look for things to be grateful for. That's an easy one, right? Maybe happiness
Like that.
sounds too far from reach. Okay, so don't think about that. Just look around and find all the things you can be grateful for. Right now, I'm grateful for this water bottle because I'm thirsty. And so every time I drink water, I can think of things I'm happy for, I'm grateful for, right? Take a drink and try not to choke. Right? But there's like, look around. I mean, I'm in the house. I have an office. I have technology. Thankfully the internet's working right now. And I get to look outside my window and sometimes even see blue sky in the wintertime. So there's so many things to be grateful for. And just set the intentions, one intention, right? Set one intention today. So what would be an intention for you today?
Wow, it's so funny because you putting it in the terms of setting an intention and the difference between making a New Year's resolution. I feel like an intention is a more positive way and it gets better results
Yeah.
because throughout this last year, so I was thinking about two things that you said. Okay, I'll get to my intention because I'm going to think about that. But I can think and talk. But I was thinking about like what would if they made a movie or a book about my life, what would it be called? And I thought, wow, I've had a great year. I've had a great year of growth. And um I am feeling really good and really it's not another year of, you said you're going to lose weight and you didn't lose weight. You said that you're going to get more active and you didn't get more active. So now I did all of this stuff and I don't even realize that I did like all these things that I had set intentions to do because I wanted to make them part of my lifestyle and fun and just part of being a happier person.
Mhm.
So now I'm like, I don't know. I'm gonna call my movie Booyah. No.
Well, what I loved was
Bam.
you telling me about your dog, right? Your dog just passed away. His name is Diggity. That made me smile. And you're like, I like naming things that make me smile. I don't think I realized you named your other dog Bougie.
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 Yep.
You messaged me the other day. I was just laughing and it made me so happy. And yes, set things with intention that make you happy. Like my truck,
Hmm.
right? I named my truck Pearl because it's
See?
based on a Will Ferrell video on YouTube with the landlord. And it's an inappropriate, funny little video about this little girl who's got a little bit of a mouth on her. But oh my gosh, it makes me laugh every time I've seen it. And I've probably watched it 50 to 100 at least times.
It's pretty funny.
It is funny because I showed it to you, didn't I?
It's pretty funny.
So I named
Now every time you say Pearl, okay, everybody, you gotta go out and watch the YouTube video of Will Ferrell and
yeah,
Pearl, the landlord.
and it was like 15 or 16 years ago.
Right?
I'm happy every time I drive my truck. It makes me laugh. It makes me laugh. And I like, okay, Pearl, we got this, and just, it's not a white truck. It's a red truck. Pearl.
Red truck could be named Pearl.
That's right.
But it's true. Like the name makes you smile, and then the name Pearl makes you smile, you know? But it's so true. Like Diggity, I noticed with Diggity that when people would ask what his name was, and then they would go, it's Diggity, Diggity. They were so. Oh, and speaking
Oh,
of, this
is
is
Bougie?
Bougie.
Oh my
This is Bougie. Bougie just woke up from a nap.
God.
And I love the name Bougie. Huh. Bougie.
Oh my God, Bougie's so cute.
So, you know what I mean? It's like every time I say his name, it makes me smile, you know? So,
I love
I,
that. You have been living in with intention. I-
hmm
Like in that and setting an intention and I'm okay. Setting an intention can look like anything. You can write down a bunch of them throughout the day. You can set your timer throughout the day of like, today I want to show up more fully as myself, or today I just want to be more present. In fact, okay, so back to that year compass, right? At the end of the year for this
Oh,
next year for 2025, at the very end of that chapter anyway, right before you're finishing it up, it says, what's your word for the year, right? So every year I've come up with a different word, and I just think of the very
mm.
first one that pops up in my mind. And the very first year was rise. And
Was what?
Rise. That was my word
Rise.
that year, and I ended up writing music about it. It was my first album. I mean, it was an album that was based on a live performance. It wasn't like a fancy album or anything, but it was Rise because I really love the idea of rising, right, from out of the ashes.
Mm,
Like just we can see life through a different perception when we rise out of the fire that we live in, right? Or we can choose
mm,
intentionally to stay in it or choosing,
hmm
right? So I rise was it, and then the next year was shine, and that's when I wrote the word shine,
mm.
like that. And I think that every year I come up with a different word. I don't know what my word is right this for this next year yet, but this last year was acceptance, and so I know that we'll have another episode all about these beautiful words because what does it mean, right? So yeah, there's so much we can talk about. I know we can talk for
I
hours.
know.
I don't know if we
I,
should close this one up for the day and we can come back next time. Or do you want to talk about
oh,
it?
I love this.
Did we cover intentional or do you want to get into
Yeah, we did. And, I think we, to close it out, like, sometimes you don't realize, and you have to give yourself credit, because I just thought about this for myself, how many things I did intentionally that helped me grow to who I am today.
Yeah.
So maybe sometimes try to just look back and reflect and find what you did intentionally
Yeah.
to make your now self be more grateful.
Yeah. And I want to talk about this, but I also don't want to. I want to save this for another episode. But my life really changed completely around when I intentionally changed the words I was telling myself. So that can be another episode we can talk about. But my entire life changed because that was
Mhm.
a huge intention. So yeah, right. Like life isn't just happening to you; life is happening for you. And I intentionally choose to say, "Yep, it's all happening for me. Even the crappy stuff
Mhm.
happening for me."
Well, there's a reason why the crappy stuff is there, so you know when the good stuff is there to
Absolutely.
really enjoy it.
Right? Would you ever enjoy how good this tastes if you'd never had
It's
that?
like you're gonna eat cookies and cupcakes every day for every meal. You get sick of it, right?
Yeah.
Got to throw in some broccoli, although I love broccoli, so.
I love vegetables. Vegetables are actually my favorite. I crave
Me
the
too.
vegetables. I would
Me
eat,
too.
oh, I would eat them all if I
I'm a
actually.
vegetarian who eats meat.
I was actually going to say I'm a vegan who really likes bacon. So
Well,
I
that's
can't,
true too.
I can't
That's true.
really have dairy. It hurts my stomach. I'm not supposed to eat eggs. It hurts my stomach. And so like I am pretty much a vegan, but I'm not because I eat meat. Because my husband's a really good cook. And I say that because I would cook more to survive. I'm okay just eating, I'll eat to survive. But he actually really likes the food to taste good. And I do too, but I just don't really know if I have that skill. I don't know if that's my skill set for this life. Okay, maybe not.
You're
But
like,
anyway,
he likes his food to taste good.
well, he does. And I'm like, do you like to help in the kitchen because you're just such an amazing partner and you don't feel like it's my job to be in the kitchen, or do you actually just like the food to taste good? And he is really snarky and funny, and he gives me the right answer. He gives me.
You're funny. He gives you, and you know what? Kudos for giving right answers.
He
That's why
knows
you're
when
still married.
he knows when there's a trap. He's like, nah, I'm not stepping in this trap. I love being your partner. But no, he makes
Oh,
really good bacon. And I'm like he bakes it in the oven and it's so good. And I can only eat a couple pieces of it, but I'm like, we'll make burgers and I'll have a vegan burger of some kind.
uh-huh.
The bacon on it because it's so good. And so
So
no, it's not the right reason. I know, but it tastes good.
I just realized I'm you. I am you. So I eat mostly vegan because dairy messes with me and I'm allergic to everything.
Uh-huh.
But there's a few meats
I
that
know. I
bacon is
know.
one. Bacon. And I could care less about any other pork, but bacon,
Yeah, that's the problem. I went for years without eating pork, and I guess the problem is my husband makes really good pork chops and pork loin and pork roast. I know, right? Like at some point, I have said to this to myself, and this is gonna sound horrible, but if something ever happens to him where I have to start cooking a lot more, we're going vegan because I can do vegetables. I can make vegetables. I'm always the one who makes the slaw because I love cabbage and coleslaw. I'm the one who
me
makes
too.
salads and stuff. We have a lot.
Yeah,
We do.
I know. I like if you take this as a plate, I want all of this to be vegetables and maybe that, maybe even smaller.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
fine with just that much meat,
Hmm.
but it's gotta have,
I know. Me
you
too.
know, I got you're so, and
Me
I want it to
too.
taste good.
Well, I mean, I can cook. I can follow recipes, but for years I didn't like the role of being in the kitchen. I didn't because I didn't have help from my family in cleaning the kitchen or cooking or anything. So I got really resentful, and I was just like, fine. So I'd have, this is another life that I lived. But in my past marriage, like my dishes were totally dirty all the time. I hated the kitchen, and I didn't like myself. I didn't. And I would come in the kitchen having to make dinner. I have to wash the dishes before even making food. And this is totally embarrassing, but I'm just telling you. I'd have to wash the dishes before I'd even make food, and then all the dishes would just end up back in the sink again. And I might soak them or I might not. Like I was angry, and that I have to deliver the food to the whole family. And again, there's resentment that comes in there because I just didn't have help, and so I felt really alone. So to be in
You
a
know
relationship
what?
or have a total partner who's like there with me and we clean the kitchen together, like I know how to keep the kitchen clean. I've been doing it for 10 years now. So well, 9 years. I've been with him for 9 years. And it's not because I mean, he would, I don't know if I need to get into this, but he would gently remind me, like, if I have a plate that I left in there, he'd leave it for me. If I left it there for too long, he'd take a picture and send it to me and say, thanks for putting your dish in the dishwasher. I mean, he loves me. He totally does. And he
He
helps.
does.
He's my partner. He doesn't expect me to take care of him in that sense. Like, we're partners. So,
It goes back to you having that control where you couldn't have control in other parts of your life. So you had control over the sugar and the dishes
and I
and the
hated
meal,
that.
you know?
I hated dishes. Now I don't care. You know how easy it is to wash the dishes as you clean? Like you're making dinner and you just wash as you go. I'm like, why was this ever a problem? Oh, because I wouldn't do them until I had to make the food. And then it was like this really long process. But I learned how. So I have
Hmm.
hope. I have hope. Maybe not my desk yet, but I have hope that I will get more organized. That will be an episode, to be organized or not to be. That's a
Oh,
question.
oh,
And I'm not.
coming soon. Coming soon.
Give me a few months to like practice. I'm really organized with some things, and then But anyway, any
So
closing
true.
remarks before we finish up? I'm trying to think over my notes if I said everything.
I say, remember to be intentional.
Yeah,
That's the goal. Just start to remember to be intentional.
yeah, and know
Put,
why. Know your why, right? Know your purpose.
uh-huh.
And if you don't know your purpose, figure that one out, and then set
Hmm.
your intentions around that. Yeah.
And if not, nobody cares.
Not as much as you. So choose what you want to do and do it.
Yeah.
So to be intentional or not to be, that is the question. And thank you for joining us today. Again, my name is Sarah Dion Brooks-Shriver, and this is
Happy Pabst. Such a shorter name.
I know I have a really, really long name. I just didn't like my
I
surname
like yours.
gross. And
I like it.
Shriver is my married name, and it also means writer. So I'm going to keep that energy in
I
there.
think you should keep it.
Yeah,
I think it's beautiful.
thank you.
You know?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll be Kathie Miller Pabst.
Okay, Kathie Miller Pabst.
Yeah. Because you know what? Nobody else can have a name like that and it'd be their real name with two beers.
Oh my God.
My, did I ever tell you that?
No, I freaking love that.
My maiden name is Miller. And I married a Pabst. Pabst Blue Ribbon. It's,
I'm not a beer drinker. Actually, I don't even like the smell of
right.
beer. I'm like, no, but that is funny. I didn't
Yes,
know that.
Kathie
All
Miller
right.
Pabst.
Okay. Until next time, we're not going to
Yay.
in the podcast. Okay. Peace. Bye.
Peace.